All right. Good morning, everyone. We're gonna head straight to the charts. It's gonna be the first London session after some time. We know we don't have very many things going on here. Let's see if there's anything. 5 a.m. We have a NPC member speaking, but relatively low. So nothing too crazy. We're getting set up for the London Open kill zone at 2. We're gonna take a look at the charts here and see what we can find out. So far, I've got a few key areas of liquidity to note. We had the wick high on the weekly chart. We have previous day's high is also there, right? We have that marked on our charts. Previous day's high. We'll be monitoring that as well. And we're gonna see if we can find a trade on London. Keeping our eyes out here. So what we're aiming for today, and I'm going to see if we get this trade or not, but you can see that we came down into that 50% mark there. So I'm going to look to see if we get a move to up to the I want to see if we end up proceeding up towards this previous daily high, or maybe Asia session high. And I want to see if from that point onwards, do we end up coming back down into this 4-hour Asia session low, if we come back to target from this high. To Asia session low. Be about 20 handles there. So I'm going to try and aim for that. Look for a setup where we take buy side liquidity. It would be it'd be first, second, and then a third liquidity that has been now taken. Maybe previous day's high will be saved. I'd like to see that saved for later on this morning. If we are bullish, I'd like to see us trade lower after taking this high here. Just because I do see that that's kind of what might be next on the line here. So we're going to stick with we know that there's outstanding buy side liquidity up here. We know that that's the previous day's high. We know this is the previous day's low. So we're going to act as such. We're going to keep those on our charts because those are important. Another thing that I want to consider here is that we have, it's kind of fun trading London. The close here was 18,634. The low was 18,545. Okay. So we want to also mark out halfway down this item. It's a daily level, and we're going to mark out that tails halfway point 2, and we're going to mark that as such. Oops. Okay. We'll mark that as 1-day tail, consequent encouragement. So we have all that on our chart now as well. As we look into the London session, we'll have each of those areas noted on our charts as areas that price could reach down towards. So from an hourly perspective, we see this rejection block up here as well. We could reach for that before reversal and leaving a relative equal high up here. I'd like to see that. Maybe we end up trading down to Asia sessions low, and then potentially this 15-minute low as well. That's within this buy side imbalance, sell side inefficiency. I believe that's on the 15-minute chart. We saw institutional order flow govern that area, so its low is 18,653.75. Its high is 18,635.25. I want to also mark out the midpoint of this as being roughly at 18,644.5. And roll that out over time. I want to grade this as well. Looks like the 25% mark is roughly here. Good. So if we're still bullish, we want to see price respect those two areas of liquidity. If not, we've got this 75% mark, and we can get rid of that now. So we do see that this buy side imbalance, this is being respected on the way back up. We're going to be watching really closely what happens as we reach the Asia session buy side liquidity, if we reach that. What it does at the weekly wick level will be very important to determine if we stay here or if we end up reaching for the previous day high, or if we end up reaching for that weekly high up there too. So these are points where I would expect to look for reversals if we're going to get one temporarily this week. As you know, we have Fed speakers all today, tomorrow, and we have I think we have a CPI this week on Wednesday. So I think CPI is going to be what drives us. If we get a flat or lower CPI, we might see the market rally. But for now, we are just observing price, seeing what we can find, seeing what's forming in Asia. We see 1, 2. If this could be a 3 drives higher, then I'm going to look for a short to target at least this area down here. I like these relative equal lows, volume imbalance within this area. I think that might be reasonable to target. We mark that volume imbalance out. I'll mark it in the gray box here. doing it on a different chart because it's easier to see the data. And we'll be watching this on lower time frames as well. So we're waiting for really 2 o'clock to 5 o'clock for the next move to occur. We're framing this in such a way that we don't see this high taken, and that we see a 3 drives pattern up into this area of buy side liquidity, Asia sessions high. We take that, then I'd like to see us travel lower to below these relative equal lows, potentially back down into this this area of liquidity here. I would like to see that if possible. We have quite a ways to go to get down into that balanced price range that we see on the what time frame was that? About a 15-minute. So we have a balanced price range, change in state of delivery here. So from high, low to high here, we have quite a bit to go down to equilibrium, but it may not reach equilibrium if it's super bullish. So right now we're just trading from liquidity to liquidity, and we'll see what this gives us here. We get a trade from roughly here down to Asia's low, or sorry, post-Asia low. That's about 11.75 handles. That is doable. That's exactly what I'll be looking for. And we'll see if we can find something like that. So that's what we're framing our trade on, is we're looking to see if this trade can pan out. Okay. Put these a little bit closer so they can see them. So we are going to be, we're going to full port our accounts just because we want to see and show that 10 handles at a time is reasonable. It's doable. I'm going to use scalping procedures to pass these as well. So gonna be these are evaluations only this week. As I'm traveling to Japan, I'm not going to be trading the performance accounts, especially since this is the first time trading London in quite some time. So it's fun to get back. It's exciting to get back into these areas here. So I've outlined what I'm looking for. We're gonna end up waiting for this to happen. It's only 1:30, so we have an idea of when things can happen. We're just waiting for it now. A lot of this is waiting for time to provide price for us. Okay. And if it doesn't work, these Apex evaluations are very, very cheap right now. I use them primarily because, and if I can pull this over, Apex has been pretty good to me, but if I use this link here, I can see that they're running a 90% off sale for 3 more days. Specifically, they have a really interesting 250K deal using this code DBVIBOHK. I can't believe it, but they're putting the 250Ks as much as they're making them cost as much as the 50K. It's going to be very, very tough for people to pass, though, because it's going to take some time, and they're actually making the performance accounts cost the same too. So we're going to wait for some pristine setups. We're going to keep an eye on what we see from a liquidity standpoint on the 15-minute chart. So we're going to point out each of the areas of liquidity we have along the way. So I'm looking for price to trade down to potentially this area down here. If that is the case, if we can get a measured move from Asia sessions high all the way down to this, that would be more than enough of a potential move. Am I going to hold for that much? No. I'd like to hold to, give me a moment, folks. While we wait for this price action, I have to take care of something real quick. Yes. All right. You guys see this Apex Trader funding swag that they got me? It's pretty dope, right? I like it. It's got the bulls and the bears. So, all right. So we're trading back down to that 15-minute. So this is a 15-minute. Fair value gap here. I'm noting this one here because from Asia high to the 25% mark would be a reasonable 30 handles, and I even would only need roughly 29 handles here for this to be a profitable trade, which takes us to this sell side liquidity as well. So that's what I'll be looking for today. And we're gonna wait for that play we're gonna wait for that play to play out while we do that. So we've created, let me zoom out a little bit here. So we're looking at these kind of measured moves. We know that the 10 handles is likely going to be reasonable. We could see this fail here. And if we see that fail, we might look for a displacement below this short-term low. But I get the feeling that it wants to continue and take out. So we had this sell side liquidity. Buy side got taken here. Sell side got taken there as well. This short-term sell side liquidity got taken there. We're rising back up. So I think that what we're doing at this point is filling in. I think we're filling in that gap there. So I'm gonna try. Oh, a limit order here would have been really nice. I'm gonna try a limit order here. I'm seeing it's bouncing off of. I'm seeing this liquidity void that I think that price is going to trade back down to before it takes Asia session high. So it'll be a small little scalp here, 5 handles, if we are able to acquire that. I don't really like this trade actually, because it's already gone past where I want it to be. I think had I been paying attention, this little buy side imbalance would have been a nice scalp return to fair value and continuation to take out Asia session potentially. But this is what we're framing today. So I want to see what happens once we break that Asia session high, as I believe we will do shortly, and we'll look to see if there's a 150 to 210 macro. So this is left open here. I think price is going to return back down to this before we head higher, but I mean, look at where we're at in this range already, right? So it might just run for that now. And when it does, I'll be looking to see, does it immediately reject, give me a high, low, higher, high, and then a displacement lower? So far, we have 7 minutes left in this candle, so it very well could reach for this daily short-term high as well, right? So we have to be wary of that, as it could continue reaching higher. And there's certainly capability for price to head higher here as well. But we are trading yesterday's high and yesterday's low. We're trading that with this in mind, that we've got this high, we have this rejection block up here we could possibly target as well. Something like this. See if we can grasp that. So it looks kind of weird on the 4 hour, but on the daily, that's what that looks like, right? This is a rejection block on the daily. It's this open 18694.50. Seeing Asia. Generally, our bias is that we are still bullish. And if we are bullish, then we like to see sell side be taken first before heading higher. In this case, I would like to see this fail, create a relative equal high here, come and start a Judas swing lower. As we go through London, I'd like to see us start a swing lower, so we take out this sell side liquidity here, these relative equal lows here, and maybe this Asia session low here as well. So watching this really closely here. So once we take buy side liquidity, we'll look for shorts to target next. We see a high, low, higher high, displacement lower, return back to bearish breaker, traded down from here down to this about 8 handles. So microstructures are there. and we are, I'm gonna do a counter trend trade, but I also like to see this set up. It's thinking 2 moves ahead, where we have this setup, short-term bearish, that we could have it stop just short of this previous day's high, create relative equal highs up there, head lower during London, trade down to at most the 50% mark of this buy side imbalance. Do I think it can head all the way down to equilibrium? Maybe, but that would be a little strange today. In fact, I think that it's likely going to do that maybe during CPI, or I'd prefer it trade down to the balanced price range at CPI, then immediately trade for the previous few days highs during CPI on Wednesday. That's what I would like to see. I'm observing this here, seeing if it reaches back down to this liquidity void here first before we take out buy side liquidity, or if it fails as well. So this high, low, higher high, I'm looking to see if this turns into a failure swing with this 3 drives higher, but usually I'd prefer it taking out that high first. So if it takes out this high on Asia session high, previous session high essentially, I'm going to look for a bearish breaker on the lower time frames. So I'll be looking at maybe a 15-minute micro time frame. I'll look to see if there's a bearish breaker on this. 1 minute's fine. You can see this that structure formed here as well. Displacement higher. You might not have gotten filled here, but that's fine as long as you had a limit order to sell right somewhere around here. You would have been fine. So similar setup here, where I'm going to be watching to see price head upwards here, then to target these relative equal lows first, and after that, these relative equal lows, Asia session relative equal lows, liquidity, and then if it is able to, I'd like for it to travel all the way down to that low here, which was formed within institutional order flow entry drill. Okay. So hopefully that makes sense. Hopefully that structure of what I'm aiming for makes sense here. These measure moves are the same measure moves down from there to there, there to there, there to there. So 10, 20, 30 handle moves. I'm mapping those out to understand where I might see price just react and head higher, because it could just, once it takes this liquidity out, I do expect for it to travel down and take this liquidity next. Does it have to go further down towards these relative equal lows? No, but I would prefer it do that in London, and then in New York session, have it reverse all the way back up, create some highs here, and then fail. If we're going to get some sort of retracement, I'd like to see it fail at that wick, consequent encroachment here. Maybe then wait for CPI to spike all the way down to this balanced price range that you see here on the 15-minute. We have a change in state of delivery from the previous day, right? So this is a balanced price range here. We have, I think CPI is just the right thing to wick down here, touch this, maybe come down the midpoint, and then head higher, or maybe just barely tag that and then head higher. So that's what I'm kind of framing out in my mind for right now. I'm watching closely to see if there's anything there. Nothing on the hourly chart, no imbalances really to take a look at. There's a lot of wicks over here, so I'm monitoring the midpoints of that wick. Happen to be around the weekly wick consequent encroachment as well. On the 4-hour, there was a sell side imbalance, buy side inefficiency here. So we'll have to see in the next 2 hours if we close, our bodies close within that segment here. That's what I'll be looking for on the 4-hour chart. Yeah. We're going to keep this on the 15-minute though, so we can see where structure is. We have that rejection block marked, that previous day's rejection block. There are roughly around 10 handle increments here. So shorting is counter trend to the macro trend. As you can see on the weekly chart, we had a complete change in state of delivery here. A bullish May. We're almost in the 20th of May. May's generally a sell side. It's generally a more bearish month. As we think about when we think about a seasonal tendency perspective, I generally look at the first 3 or so weeks, 3.5 weeks is bearish, and then once we get to May 25, that's when I start to see us go really, like at the end of this week, if we aren't bearish, that's when I think we're gonna keep in mind, like, we have treasuries that are buying back and adding liquidity at the end of May as well. So I imagine treasuries are going to get bought up. We're going to have markets, yields go down, bonds are going to go up, stocks are going to go up at the end of May. And if that's the case, we'll look forward to June. We'll see if June consolidates or not, but July should be a very, very nice month if we see that continue, essentially. So, all right. So we came back down to this volume, or this liquidity void down here. So that's where I would have, if I was scalping, if there's enough of room here for me to scalp without high risk, then I would do it. But at this point, I want to wait for these buy side liquidities to be taken before I take a trade. Or I wanted to trade below a relative equal low from before and have that be within a discount of the current dealing range. So since this low here took out this low, and this high took out this high, I'm currently treating this range from this high to this low as the current dealing range. You also have your range from the previous session, and of course you have midnight open, which happens to be right here. What happened to my midnight open candle though? Did I lose that candle somewhere? I used to have that candle somewhere, and I just forgot to move it. Let me grab this thing. Oh gosh, where is it? April 30th. There it is. So let's mark midnight opening price as well. Was 18,670 exact. So below this price, fair value to go long. Above this price, fair value to go short as well. Sorry, I had to take care of something real quick there. Okay. Oops. All right, so what's happened so far here? We have come down. We've stopped dead in its tracks. Look at that. Price stopped dead in its tracks right at that liquidity void, coming back. If I can get this to actually work. Coming back to exactly that level here. Leads me to believe that we will be taking this at 150 to 210 macro. I want to see this take out this high, Asia session high, and stop just short of this one. So I'll be looking really closely at my lower time frames. See if we can find something here that will allow us to take our short. So 10 handles is plenty. If I want to be greedy, 20 handles takes us down. Relative equal highs. Right? Asia session low. I don't know if London's going to move that far, so I'll be watching really closely what happens at this post-Asia session, pre-London open session low. Okay. So we're waiting for this to play out. If this continues higher and we don't see any form of movement, like any form of change in state of delivery, high, low, higher, high, displacement lower here, bearish breaker, low, returns back to that breaker here. We can go short there, go short anywhere within that breaker. I would put a limit order here if we didn't get set. I would then enter anywhere around here. It's fine. And then we would have targeted, I would have liked to have targeted something a little bit lower, but once you start to see these lows, like this would have scared me a little bit here. That would have been a little annoying. But, you know, once you see something like this where you cannot go lower anymore, and it makes sense that we were traveling down to a short-term internal range liquidity. We've taken this internal range liquidity now, so I want to see us trade higher and take out this external range liquidity here. Do we have internal range liquidity left once we take out external range liquidity here? Well, my thoughts are that I want to take this trade down to at least this volume balance here, combined with this bullish order block. It's in a premium, so hard to consider that to be truly a bullish order block. I'd rather see a displacement down below here, market maker sell model, taking us all the way back down to either this consolidation or this consolidation here. This one would be more powerful as well because there's a balanced price range, but I think that's a little bit too low for Monday. I don't know. Okay, so now we wait. Any viewers in here? Let me see if there's anyone actually watching. We got 5 people watching. Oh, wow. Thanks for being here. Appreciate you being here. We'll see if this pans out, because this could be also a failure swing. Let me see what's going on ES. Okay, so ES has traded back above the previous high, has some fair value gaps to head back down to. Okay, so we're seeing a lower low as well. Oops. Or sorry, a lower high on that as well. 15-minute perspective. Yeah, ES is just really consolidating there. The Dow has reached its all-time high. So that was a really nice run at the end of the day on the previous day. So one thing I do note that on the Dow, in the previous day, we made a higher high. So the Dow made a higher high than 2 days back, whereas NASDAQ and ES did not breach the high from 2 days back. So I'm seeing that as a potential smart money divergence if the Dow continues to go lower from here. But if the Dow decides to rip from here, then all three indices will have essentially impetus to rip, at the very least, NASDAQ up to this sell side imbalance here. So, and that would be taking a trade in the direction of where we are currently anticipating could be our draws on liquidity. If it rips and continues ripping, we don't see any evidence of retracement first, that's fine. We will wait for the next trade, right? And we'll know we're off sides, thinking about going short. Hey, Shogun. Good morning. Good morning. Couple minutes away from London Open Kill Zone. I'm an Inner Circle trader, Inner Circle Concepts trader. So, but I don't really like, tout it as better than everything else. I'll let the other Furus online say that. I'm just trying to get better, get a little bag every single day so I can hopefully switch into this as a full-time career someday. So I am using prop firms though. So I don't know if anyone else is here using prop firms as well, but I use Apex Trader Funding. Most recently on these small accounts, got the first payout request confirmed and paid out. So first $500 payout request was there. I'm going to see if we can parlay these up over the course of the year. It's really hard to trade during the daytime, so especially when I'm forced to go into the office. So it makes it really difficult to trade, but I can trade London. If I can go to sleep early enough, I can trade London, get some rest in, go to work. And that's, what I'm going to try to do. I'm going to try to trade London. Trading London each day will allow me to get into the markets in and out quickly before the day starts. And I don't have to worry about trading during the day. But yeah, we'll see. Cigar Cutter, nice. Congrats, man. Hey, thank you, brother. I appreciate that. Passing Apex Trader Funding is not easy. It is one of the more, look at that spike down there. All right, 2 o'clock. We see displacement lower, so this might turn into a failure swing. Let's see. We just went and took out relative equal lows here. So I'm watching this really closely here now. Do we continue lower with this failure swing here? Let me see what Dow is doing. Dow has also come down. ES is has a small candle down. It's not going any further yet, but I would look for this to be a displacement here. So high, low, higher, high. We're going to see if this turns into a bearish breaker here. Right there. We're watching this closely here. If this turns into a breaker, then we'll probably be able to sell at the low of this breaker. Okay, I like that. Except I'm not going to be able to enter on that. So we came back down to that 15-minute. So that is displacement to me. This could be a breakaway gap here. So I like a return to that bearish breaker. I would like to see that if possible. Unfortunately, sometimes we don't get the luxury of it just running without us, but that's my trade, right? I want to trade mitigation. So if I miss this trade, then so be it. But I want to see it took out sell side here, and it's likely going to run for that other side next, but I like to see it come back up and see a mitigation here. It could treat this low as a mitigation as well. So I'm watching this really closely here. I think that probably got a lot of people short. So ideally, retracement higher would be ideal, in my opinion. It may only go... I don't want to take a low that low after taking sell side, but unfortunately, I also missed that move. So I want to see us trade higher first, if at all possible. So I want to see a movement higher here. Sell side. You can see sell side got taken there. And looks like it's going to let go without us. So let's see. I am seeing potential here as a short-term low. I'm seeing potential that it rejects off of that and heads lower. So if it does that, I will watch this closely. 50%, 60% retracement would take us back up to this area and this mitigation block up here, but it does look like it's gonna keep running. And not give a chance for us to, not give us a chance to get in. But I would still like for us to see that first, because this is immediately rebalancing off of these here. So a lot of people going short down here, trying to catch up on that wave. I'd prefer a retracement higher. I'd like to see us move higher into, at the very least, this 50% mark, maybe the 60% mark here. And I'd like to see this remain open. Okay. So we'll see if we get this trade or not, but so sell side was taken most recently here. There's also a chance that it completely ignores this and heads higher, but I'm framing this on the fact that I see this as a failure swing, essentially. I'd like to see us see an optimal trade entry here, reversal. And if this blows, it blows, right? It's a evaluation account. Typically, I will not be using full size. Typically, I'm using 1 to 4% of my risk. But because these are evaluation accounts, I'm treating them slightly differently because I have the bankroll to do so. All right, so we're watching this closely here to see if this turns into institutional order flow entry drill. Okay, so we've come back up into that area. So far, we're holding here. If I really want to get, that would have been the most aggressive entry here. But I do see that it's came back down to tag up a little bit of that volume imbalance here. And so I'm looking for an optimal trade entry because why? Failure swing here. High, low, higher, high. Displacement lower. Bearish breaker here. The lowest down close candle that we see. And I'm going to enter on that bearish breaker if we get it. Price could wick up here. I have about 10 handles up to this Asia high, and if it breaks me out, I'll probably try to close out of it maybe around here if it breaks out higher. It might not even reach my bearish breaker, but I'd like for us to get there first. I'd like for us to see that first. And if it goes off without us, then so be it, you know? It doesn't look like it's wanting to head up there, but I want to see it move at least. Let me see what this happens to be here from the bodies of these candles. I'd like for it to move up into this area here at the very least, 18,671. So late shorts, they're getting stopped out, right? That's what I'm seeing here at least. Late shorts, they're getting stopped out. This was I'd like to see a run high, and then maybe a run high up into this area. So I'm looking for optimal trade entry. I see a lot of confluences here which would allow me to do that, and I also see that price could trade down up to here as well. But yeah, this will be our entry. If we get filled, we get filled, right? We are using the bearish breaker as a entry. We do know that there is a 50 equilibrium mark here. So I'm going to be watching that closely. If we trade to that equilibrium mark and then decide to displace lower, I will shift my limit order quickly to the low of that buy side imbalance, and we'll treat that as a inversion fair value gap to trade below it, back up to it, and then to bounce back down. So we're going to be watching this really closely here. $210. So now we have the 150 to 210 macro. We have this time frame, and we see that we've got displacement lower. So now I'm watching here as well. So this 5-minute price has us right at that midnight open price. So if we trade higher here, we could see institutional order flow entry drill on this 5-minute candle as well. So if we trade anywhere above that line, we'll have entered a 5-minute fair value gap here. So this counts as displacement. I'm actually going to move my, gosh, that's a really aggressive move. Looks like it might be letting go. So in the 5-minute chart, there's this gap that remains open here. I'd like to see a nice, really quick wick up to that breaker. But I do recognize that institutional order flow entry drill could happen right here. It could barely come up into this, and then it could head lower. Hey, Motivation Healing. Hi, congrats. Thank you. Appreciate it. Always glad to get some positive energy from folks. So this is the waiting game sometimes. And could this run without us and just drop out completely? Absolutely. This could treat this as a mitigation block and then head lower. And it could run very quickly out of our grasp. And that's okay. I mean, this would have been the lower entry on this fair value gap. Again, for those who are joining in late, we are waiting for price. So we're watching this one closely here. Remember, that's a 5-minute fair value gap we'll be trading up into right now. Okay, so we have institutional order flow entry drill. Let's see if we get our bearish breaker here. So a lot of those late shorts, they just got squeezed. We might get squeezed too. That's why we're using evaluation accounts here. So 5-minute chart, this fair value gap's been reached. %50 mark would, oh man, look at that. We might not get filled here. Okay, we only got filled for 2 contracts so far. So we want to see us move just a little bit higher at this breaker. There we go. Now, we're going to put our stop loss above this high here, because if it heads higher than that, it's going to run, and our trade is invalid at that point in time. So above this high is reasonable. We're going to keep that high there, and if it completely kicks us out, that's fine. That's so be it, you know. We will accept that this is part of our trade. We came up to this gap here, and if it continues higher, well, that's a bad trade. You know, we looked for a trade that looks similar to what we're looking for, and it didn't pan out, right? So right now, this trade also traded above this midpoint here. So if it doesn't respect this bearish breaker here, it's going to go for Asia's high after taking out sell side here, right? So we're waiting to see if this ends up respecting this sell side imbalance here, right? So there you go. What are our next areas of potential profit taking? Well, we can see that in order for us to pass in one go, we essentially need price to drop all the way down to the midpoint of this buy side imbalance. Is that even feasible? Probably not, right? So we're going to watch to see if we can at least get a move down below Asia's lows as our profit taking target. Okay. So we want to see price continue lower, potentially down to Asia's session lows. That's our target right now. This area of liquidity would be sufficient. That would be a sufficient move, right? So we can see that prices dropped down back below that SIBI. There's no guarantee it won't, continue to rise, but I'm gonna hold this until it gets either to what if it gets to Asia session low, that's gonna be one area of profit. I can't take partials on this kind of contract though, so I have to be really careful on this, because if it goes against me 10 handles and goes up to 77 now, I'm out of luck. That will mean that I will very much so be out of luck here. So there's the thesis itself. We'll see if it plays out. For Asia session low is what I'm really looking for here. I'd like to get that measured move from breaker to Asia session low is about 13 handles. So ideally, I would like to see that first. I don't want to see this come back up by any means. I want to see this displacement on the 5-minute. I want to see that respected. I want to see that 15-minute displacement respected as well. And I do not want to see this buy side imbalance respected at all. I want to see them treat this here. So this 15-minute buy side imbalance in a premium, which is now a balanced price range, I want to see them drop it lower and then come back up, immediately rebalance lower, and then drop from there. But it looks like it might not do that. There might not be enough sellers to do that. We'll see. That's just the thesis. So we don't want to choke this up too quickly, but we can move it at least. At this point, it's moved all the way down to 64. So if this moves back up to 74, we're dead out of the water. Based on Apex's trailing drawdown rules, the trailing drawdown would be too great for me to recover these couple accounts. So, and it doesn't look like it's quickly going to be saving this movement lower anytime soon. It might have taken sell side liquidity just to come up and take these relative equal highs now. So we're watching this really, really closely here. Again, these accounts will be blown if it goes up to 64 now, because of the trailing drawdown rules. And the fact that we're over leveraging, right? So we like that the bodies are still staying below here. We want to see the bodies close below that buy side imbalance. So far so good. We traded up to a bearish order block here. So I like that we could still target Asia low, session low. I will be watching it very closely if we get to Asia session low though, because that's where it can just bounce right there. So here I want to see it disrespect that buy side imbalance and immediately rebalance lower. Okay. So we're seeing this relative equal low here form. We should see quick distribution down to that Asia session low soon. And there's no guarantee it can go lower than that, but I'm looking at this volume imbalance there as well on the 15-minute chart. I'm looking to see if it can drop down to that volume imbalance. So now we've reached halfway. We can move our stops halfway, but it really doesn't matter when you're using this size of contract. You need to kind of either make it or not make it. So this move here would be about 13.75 handles. That's a sizable amount of handles. If we were to take that all the way down to the low of there, that'd be 15 handles. That would be probably just about as much as I would expect from this run. And I'm willing to move my limit orders up there on the flip of a switch there. Okay. So I want to see very quick movement down into that buy side imbalance. And I want to see a disrespect of that buy side imbalance here. I want to see this used as an inversion fair value gap. Asia session low and the volume imbalance beneath that is about as low as I think it's going to go. But in the event it does go lower, I'm going to hold out there. I see a couple questions in the chat. I will answer those, I promise, but I'm monitoring this trade for now. Okay, at this point, it's reached over half of the distance from where I want it to go to there, so I can cover costs here. We treat this as a breakaway gap, so I don't think it's going to end up coming back up to here, but if it does, then we're in trouble anyways. Again, this is where I would move my stop to now, seeing that we have institutional order flow entry drill, and we haven't taken sell-side liquidity yet. Now, if I see a change in state of delivery and we don't reach that Asia low, I will stop out. I'll have to stop out. Okay. So again, my thesis here is that that buy side imbalance is a inversion fair value gap here. If it doesn't work out, then it doesn't work out. But I would like to see it take Asia's low at least. That session low is important to me. And I will actually raise my take limit order up there, because if I think about this, what's my measured move? My measured move is just about where that volume imbalance is. So I'm going to take profit when it reaches that level. Right? Actually, I don't want to show this on the 15. We can't see nearly as much on that, but this is a dangerous level as well. You can see that the price wicked to the midway point of this wick, so If this wick does not end up getting traded down through, we can treat this also as a key sell side liquidity as well. The midpoint from this wick high to low is 16, roughly around there, right? So we'll see if this reverses on us here. There's a sell side imbalance here, volume imbalance up here as well. Volume imbalance up here that it could trade up to as well. So we're watching these two here. Watching these two a little closely here. Watching that level as well. So we see a low happen, back to sell side imbalance. If we trade much higher than that, then I think we're going to be in trouble here. If we don't respect that and that buy side imbalance being a inversion fair value gap, then we'll be in trouble a bit. There is a 15-minute volume imbalance as well up here. Could get into. But we've already taken sell side out once here, twice here. I'd like to see a third drive lower first. All right, so I want to see this remain immediately. We want to see this immediately head lower here. Otherwise, this might turn into a change in state of delivery as well. And I might be forced to close out. So we want to see really quick. So I see this as kind of like a market maker sell model where we have original consolidation. I guess this is really the end there. So we'll see if we get our sell all the way down to this area of consolidation or not. Might not give us that. Might just blow up from here. Oh, man. Okay, so we don't want to see it move any higher than this buy side imbalance here. I want to see it quickly and swiftly reject down and target this low, and even the Asia session low next. But it looks like it's being bought up a bit. Come on. Let's see, 230. So London Open has given us a bit of a move so far. It's now being bought up and consolidating here. So if we don't see further distribution lower now, well, that might be it for this trade then. So what we want to see is we want to see this as a bearish order block be respected. This as well. And I really do want to see it head all the way down here. That would be what? 72, 62, 52, 42. This is a safer take profit though. If it's even going to go down that way. But these are areas where I will also take profit and look for evidence of reversal too. Because right now, we're actually seeing that price has been bought up here. And so it can spike all the way back up. And this can serve as just enough of a movement down into that volume imbalance here. That could have been the reversal point. And I'm not yet fully convinced, but it could have been. We need to see, like, we need to see some actual movement. Otherwise, it's going to go against us at this point in time. I don't like how this is slowly creeping up, though. I really don't like this. I wanted to see a little bit more distribution to the sell side. But what can we ask for? Which also leads me to believe that once we take this, if we take this sell side out, that would be one of the last ones here. I anticipate we run for this low here still. I want to see us take this relative equal lows out. But it just seems to be creeping upwards, so we'll see. Kind of held in this range right now. Yep, we're going to get probably squeezed here. They might take it all the way back up to 69. And if they go up here, they're probably going to stop all of this out and we'll be forced to stop out of our position. So there, we are trading back up into this volume imbalance here now. And that probably will constitute a shift in delivery back to the upside. So it is a bummer, but it is what it is. So we should get stopped out when it goes for, if it goes for this SIBI and then some, we'll probably get stopped out, and that's fine. We were trading our move here. We got it. We got almost 10 handles there, and then it reversed on us. So now you can kind of see it came up to take out these this relative equal high here. So now we'll have to see, is it going to reject the midpoint, or is price going to continue to rise up higher, aiming for these now relative equal highs too. So we're watching very closely here to see. It does look like the sell side is not super strong, but maybe I just need to go up to get some more orders. Again, Monday, not exactly the most high probability time to be trading. So it came back to midnight open, and we're starting to see a little bit of movement little bit of movement lower. So we'll see if we get a continued move lower or not. Nope. Doesn't seem like it. Okay, so let's take a look at the chat while we're waiting on our trade. So here, like, 10 handles, that would have been a respectable move from 72.25 to 62.25. That's exactly 10 handles. I was kind of worried that that might be all that we would get today. I was hoping we would go a little bit lower, but I think this is going to end up bursting upwards and taking my position out. So while it does that, let's see, LP trades. I just got back from delivering pizza. Store was crazy. You take anything yet? I took a short on a bearish breaker move, but it's likely going to be stopped out shortly, because this kind of movement, this grind up, it's not typical of a heavily bearish environment. So I think what we're going to end up seeing is we're going to end up seeing price spike back up to take out those relative equal Asia session highs. And that'll be it. It'll end up reaching for Asia session buy side liquidity here, relative equal highs, maybe the daily high as well. There's a good chance that it will no longer respect this impulse move. So it's unfortunate, but we should get stopped out soon. Shouldn't be much longer here before we get stopped out. But you can kind of see that it's not respecting movements lower. So, I mean, there's no liquidity here. There's no reason why I would have come back to this SIBI. I mean, maybe to pick up some more orders from this 5-minute SIBI, but that's kind of surprising, So maybe what we'll do is we know that a good take profit is that level there, but let's see, 79, 72, 62, 52, 42. I might as well move this down here because it's just going to skyrocket now. Take it out anyways. So ideally, I would have liked for it to head a little bit lower here, but so lesson learned, London, 10 handles, scalping protocol is probably all you're going to get. That'll be a good lesson for the next London session that we trade. Yeah. So I imagine this is going to now rocket upwards. This kind of a crawl has been pretty brutal for any shorts here. And without continued displacement, there's no way for us to, without any continued move here. We came down, we took out these relative equal lows, we got shorts in, now we're squeezing them out. As you'll see, my position should get stopped out shortly once they squeeze a little bit more here. But that's also why you may not want to trade against the trend. I mean, it's just trending higher, so it's definitely not going down at all, retracing very much at all, right? And on the 15-minute, technically there's a 15-minute sell side imbalance up here. Kind of see that up here, right? So that might be something that price is aiming for. Very possible. So yeah, we'll see. But yeah, this doesn't scream bearish right now to me. We're not immediately rebalancing off of this here. We bounced up from this volume imbalance here, and we're about to stop my first position out. It should stop on its own because of the trailing drawdown here. So when it does, that's fine. We assume it's going to come up for this sell side imbalance here. Yeah, kind of sucks. So 10 handles was the correct take profit point during London. So I'll keep that down in my journals for later. And yeah. Shogun, why Apex not take profit trader? I've traded with Apex for a while now. They are one of the most well-respected futures trading prop firms. They don't do any of the shady stuff with CFDs that you see a lot of other firms doing. And they're really respectable and respected in the industry. So that's why I trade with Apex. They do a good job. Okay, where's this? All right, so we should see this squeeze higher now, and we'll see what happens here now. Lion's Fit. Would exiting to protect capital, then re-entering if price action shows downside again? Yeah, I would say so. It would have been good to take profit at 10 handles, so that's scalping protocol essentially. With this type of movement, it's more than likely to head higher, if anything. For like the Asia. If it doesn't reject from here, then it's likely going to head higher. So it did come up. It did come up to get some movement there. We need to see what happens there now. So that was an interesting quick little drop there. We'll see if it holds or not. It's still just only traded down to a bullish order block there. Nothing to phone home about yet. So we can clearly see here that this inversion fair value gap, I mean, it closed right at the height of it. So there's still a small chance that this was a run up to capitalize on outstanding liquidity there. Very possible still. So we need to see major displacement here. We need to see like a big drop lower for us to have this move be of any interest to me. We came up. We rebalanced that sell side imbalance, right? We're very close to being stopped out, and it still could just rip up and target these relative equal highs here, right? But I'm thinking it's gonna run for, and I'd like to see this run quickly. I want to see it run for Asia session low, and then I'll keep an eye out for a reversal pattern. Otherwise, I'll hold for 618, 643, where that would be my full position of take profit. But yes, Lions Fit, typically if I'm on a PA account, I would take profit. Half of my position would be off at external range sell side liquidity here. So half would have been off once we took that sell side from this entry down to here. Half of my position would have been taken off here. Because I'm doing a 250K challenge right now, I've done the calculations. In order to pass in one try, you need to find a 30 handle move, which here obviously is not being supported, right? So unless we see severe bearishness on this, I would need essentially a 30 handle move from my entry down to here for this to even like get close to passing. Nivia's SRA, hey, are you doing 250K? Yes, that's correct. I already have a 250K performance account, but I'm just trying to use, because I'm trading London, I usually trade New York when I can, but now I've gotten back into trading London just today and tomorrow. So I'm going to be using evals only in order to trade London. And I'll be seeing if we can pass some of these here. So Nivaz asks, okay, so here again, we can see how it's coming back against us here. We need to see it close below this candle low for us to think that there's a shot at going lower. Otherwise, it's going to reach for these highs here. So what lot size are you targeting for 30 handle? You can see the lot size here. There's 270 micros, so 27 micros. So this means that accounts can be blown a lot faster on very, very small retracements. So if you're not trading with volatility, like we don't have any volatility today, then you're kind of SOL. You probably want to it probably benefits you to take profit at 10 handles, 20 handles, 30 handles or less. I'm going to hold this the entire way, just get stopped out or not. But typically, I would not do this on a performance account, right? So I would prefer that at every single take profit, that I'm taking profit. When I'm trading a performance account, at this low, I would have taken profit. If we take this low out, I would take more profit. If we take these out, I would take my next profit, and then I would leave one or two runners, right? So we can see that here we have really nice moves higher. And it's being sold into. So we'll see if this gets truly sold into or not. But that was a really interesting move here. It does seem like a move to take out some late shorts there. I want to see this 15-minute candle close below the midpoint of this buy side imbalance. If it doesn't close through the midpoint, well, we're SOL. Cool. So let's see what we got here. Young PITRS, what is your win rate on passing challenges? I don't know what the win rate is on passing challenges, but I definitely fail a lot of evaluations because of the way that I trade them sometimes. But that's also only because when I'm trading full porting, that is me having excess capital where these cheap challenges, I don't mind if I lose $17 here, $17 there. If I were trading early on in the career, I would probably be trading just like a performance account, really. 10 contracts, 10 micro contracts, going for $250 here, $250 there. That works just as well for passing evaluations. They're not that hard to pass. They just take some time if you are consistent to do so. Right now, I have, how many PAs do I have? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I have 9 performance accounts right now. And those performance accounts range from 50K accounts to 150K accounts to 250K accounts as well. So while, yes, technically, because of the sheer account size, I have over $1 million in quote unquote funding, I don't think that's a good barometer by any means to state how much of funding I have. I think it's something that people, you want to look at the trailing drawdown. Trailing drawdown, how much of that do you have? That's really key, because in these performance accounts with Apex, you have a trailing drawdown, right? So that trails with your unrealized gains. So what'll happen is if you are unable to pass those, then you'll blow your account. If you hit the trailing drawdown, you'll blow your account. Looks like price came back down again a little bit. What's going on here? It's hanging out. So yeah, I have, 9-ish accounts on 9 accounts on performance accounts right now. I've had 20 evaluations turn into performance accounts at some point, but that was early on in my career. I blew those accounts and then had to reevaluate whether or not I was, a trader or not. But yeah, I think, man, this price action is not great. Need to see where this 15-minute candle closes. These are no longer relevant. Those were 5-minute volume imbalances here. I don't think that these are relevant anymore. I'm going to remove them for now. Again, I want to see this traded below and closed below. But yeah, I think with the evaluations though, I would say use the 90% off sale. If you're going to try Apex, I would say use the 90% off sale and go with like the cheapest, not cheapest, but go with like maybe like a 50K. Even a 25K is enough to get started, because you're not going to be risking more than 10 micros at a time. Otherwise, you're going to be over leveraging, right? So even here with 50K, you should only be using like 1 or 2 micros on this. Is already 1 to 2%. So you want to be careful with these, because the trailing drawdown will get you. I would, if I was starting off with the 90% sale going on right now for 3 more days, it seems, you can use this code, this DBVIBOHK code, if you use my link. That code is from this on my YouTube channel. You can use that. You can use another one too, but what you have to know is these 250Ks, you have to hit your profit goal. So 50K accounts, to hit 3,000 profit goal is much, much, much better. You have an almost 1-to-1 ratio. But when you start to get into 250Ks, you need to hit a profit goal of 15,000 to a trailing drawdown of 6,500. So it's much more difficult to trade these. So I would recommend, if you're just starting off, don't get sucked into the 250K account, okay? You don't need it. 50K accounts are fine. Past 1, and then or trade demo, you know, and that would be enough. Nivaz SRA says, I suppose the Apex extended the time for evals 250K till the end of May. Not quite. So they extended the evaluation, the 90% offs, until Thursday of this week. You have until the end of May. So with the 250Ks, they have a special sale going on where if you buy the accounts, then the performance account fee is going to be the same as a 50K account fee. So that's $85 to activate. That I've never seen them do. So it is, if you're a good trader, the 250K accounts are reasonable to get, and they would be reasonable to buy and to pass as well. So that is the only reason why I'm going for them, is because of the $85 performance account activation fee is just too good to give up, right? It's just too good. So Young's PLTR, thank you for responding. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. That's what I'm here for, right? Lions Fit says, are you trading 27 micros to pass 250K evals? I'm actually trading 27 minis, the equivalent of 27 minis. You only should do this if you have the bankroll to do so, and that losing $17 is not going to hurt you, right? Because these all cost $17 here. So you just need to be aware that these can quickly add up. So I'm using 270 micros because I know what kind of setup I'm looking for. And if it doesn't pan out, it doesn't pan out, right? I have the financial is such that $17 account, if it's blown, it won't impact me that much. So, but you can use 27 micros though, because the 250K accounts need you to achieve a profit of $15,000. It becomes a little bit more difficult if you don't size up, because you only have until the end of May for you to pass the PA fee and only pay $85 for that 250K account. So that's why I recommend the 50Ks are a really nice sweet spot to where you can not over leverage, still pass the accounts with good risk to reward ratio, and you can spend less money having to activate those accounts too. So the 50K accounts are a really nice sweet spot there. All right, so we have the 15-minute closing below that. That's what we wanted to see. We wanted to see that heaviness there. So Asia session lows should be targeted by the end of London. If they aren't, I would be surprised, but I want to see this drop precipitously and very quickly here. And I don't think it's going to go anywhere past the Asia low, but very well could be. So we're walking back down to this volume imbalance here. I'm going to remove it because it's a 1-minute volume imbalance. So now you should see price drop quickly. This is where London kill zone, London silver bullet occurs. So this is where I would expect to see price move, whether it's higher to take out this, or if it's lower to take out a sell side liquidity. This London open is what I'm going to be looking for first. Okay. So we'll see if this, so we just took sell side liquidity there. So we could reverse here. Be careful here, right? Now, this would be a good place to take profit. If you had taken that bearish breaker with me, this would be a good spot to take profit here. This is respectable, right? Respectable move. It's exactly 10 handles. So that's all it has to go. But now, since we've broken this high already. I'd like for us to head lower first, or come back to rebalance this volume imbalance here, and then trade lower. I don't want it to go much higher than that anymore, though. So this volume imbalance is suspect. Again, like, I would not recommend doing what I'm doing. Max contracts is very, very difficult, and you can and will get retraced on. If there's a retracement of more than 10 or 11 handles, your max contract evaluation count is blown. So you have to just keep that in mind, okay? So let's see, Nivaz SRA, but that's till end of May. Isn't the PA fee? End of May for the PA fee, but Thursday for the 90% off. So you are correct, Nivaz. It's end of May for the PA fee to cost $85 only. Let me watch this real close here. I don't want to see this displace higher. I really don't like to see that. Oh, not fun. So this might have been all it needs to go target these relative equal highs up there. And if it does that, then I'm really, really screwed there. Lions Fit, wow, I follow you now for your strategy to pass fast. 1 or 2 trades, nice to know, thanks again. Yeah, Lions Fit, yeah, if you have the bankroll to do that, it's much more profitable in my mind to be able to pass these quickly. But again, you have to be aware that 10 handles of a retracement will blow your account. So even if you get 20 handles all the way down here, even if you get that move, if it retraces on you 10 handles, you're dead. Like, that account is blown. So so that's why I think that the best case scenario here is to trade down to this volume imbalance. We see this bullish order block, original consolidation. I don't think we're going to get all the way down here, but we'll see. I'm willing to move. I'm willing to move my take profits as needed. Nothing's really happening now. So I'm watching how does this perform at this volume imbalance, and does it now respect this bearish order block right there? That move up was what I was looking for. I wanted to see this respect this bearish order block here and trade lower, targeting Asia sessions sell side liquidity. If you are trading this short, I would take profit at this Asia session low. It doesn't have to go any lower than this consolidation here, but that's what I would also consider targeting if I were taking this trade and taking profits. I would be taking profits when it breaches these lows here. I would be taking profits the entire way down, right? So we're seeing sell side liquidity, midway point is being attacked now. We should see Asia session low targeted soon. There are buyers coming in though. We see that. But it does seem to be creeping lower overall. So from a 15-minute perspective, this low, you want to watch out for this low as well, right there. This can be sell side liquidity. And if we see a sharp spike down below Asia session lows and we see a sharp green come back up, I will close my full position. I don't like that type of move, but I do believe that we will take out Asia session low right there. This happens to be an intermediate term low too, so this could take this out and miss the Asia session low and give us a really wicked retracement from there. So you have to be careful there too. Okay. So I'm hovering over my take profit, even though it says it's further down at 18,643. I'm really watching how this Asia session low gets tagged. Because if I start to see movement on the 5 second, if I start to see displacement higher, I don't want to see that, right? So sell side imbalance here. So now we should see Asia session low attacked. You can take profit there as well. Other people will be taking profit there, so that's where I would recommend you take profit. And we should see a really nice vicious move lower. And I want to see if we trade to that volume imbalance down here. That 15-minute volume imbalance is what I think we're going to trade down to if we don't get a reversal here. Because remember, this is an intermediate term low, so it's important. Price can retrace from there. Okay. Oh wait, that's a 5 second. Move that for a second. Okay, so we're still in this London kill zone though. So I want to see one side of liquidity taken. If I see Asia's low taken, that's when I'm going to consider reversal occurring. It got close to that Asia. It got so close to that Asia session low right there. But maybe this is a reversal. Oh, it just took Asia session low. Okay, there you go. So I'm watching this really closely now to see if there's displacement higher, because I saw a lot of people buying there. So I'm watching to see if there's displacement higher. If so, I'm going to close the account, because that Asia session low is all we needed. It doesn't have to go any lower than that. Okay. I'm watching this like a hawk to see if there's displacement higher. Then I'm going to close the account and take the 8 handles or so of profit. If we see continued movement lower, that would be more ideal. We see heaviness deep into this. We want to see that. We don't want to see any higher lows formed. Okay. But we understand it can happen. So we want to see. So what did it trade down to though? It traded down to exactly that volume imbalance. You saw that? Traded exactly down to that volume imbalance there. So we're waiting and watching and seeing if this decides to continue lower or if it reverses here. If I see continued consolidation, then I will close this short. But if I see continued movement lower, I will hold for a bit longer within the 3 to 4 p.m. time frame. I'm just waiting to see if there's a reversal here or not. Because taking that Asia session low is prime. That is where I would have taken my profit. So I don't want to see big green candles here, because then I have to close out my position. So I'm watching this very, very, very closely right now. So what happened there is all those wicks from everybody that traded in Asia all the way up, they just got stopped out there. So those people just had their buy market orders sitting there, and they just got stopped out to the long side. So it becomes more dangerous for shorts now to take a short at this level. If market is going to keep them going lower, then yes, it is possible for price to head lower. But if I see green here above that previous green candle, if it doesn't reject from here, then I'm going to close the short. So you can kind of see how like that short, how that played out, what the thesis was behind that. Hopefully, if this was helpful, if you enjoyed seeing this, smash that like button. I appreciate that. All right, so we can see that we're starting to see a change in state of delivery here. I'm going to close the account, close that profit with 4,500. That means how much is left on this account. So that means I have room. Gosh, where is it? So my stops, I have about 4,500 in stops remaining. So I am treating this as a shift in market structure here. So I'm going to wait for, so this is now, we've taken out Asia session low. So I'm going to, if this fair value gap forms here on the 1 minute time frame, I will re-enter long here. We took that Asia session low and we've traded to exactly, what did I say? Exactly down to here is where I should have taken profit, and I didn't. So, all right, so we want to see this fair value gap form. Once we do, this is a shift change in state of delivery. We have a high, higher high, low, lower high, lower low, and this actually is a nice example of a bullish breaker forming. So I'm going to limit enter here, and we'll see if we can get sentiment moving again. So I want to see us trade higher from here. I want to see us return back to that bullish order block potentially. I want to see us spike down here, maybe to this bullish breaker as well. But I'd like for us to see this bullish order block plus this buy side imbalance, sell side inefficiency. I want to see us move higher here. And that's what I'll be looking for. So hopefully you all took profits at that Asia low. I want to now see price trade back down to this buy side imbalance. There is a small buy side imbalance up here too. Do I respect that one as much? Maybe. So there's a buy side imbalance here. Price is trading to a 15-minute breaker here, and it's heading higher. Sorry, 15-minute bearish order block here. So if I see this, one thing that might change my mind is if I see it immediately rebalance from this And if I see it reject from here really, really hard, right? Because it's only a 1 minute sell side being taken there. So, sorry, I'm missing some. So I'm seeing this as a short-term reversal pattern here at a key low. So I want to see if we get a chance to come back down to that bullish breaker and trade off of that to head higher, to target what? Relative equal highs, right? This intermediate term high is next, followed by these relative equal highs in a movement where we are bullish, right? So I want to see if we trade down to this. This might be a breakaway gap, so I think up here, this might be more reasonable of a open, if we can trade down to there at least. 15-minute chart, we took out sell side liquidity, so I'm looking for buy side liquidity to be taken next. I don't know if this is going to give me an option because it came down to this volume imbalance. So I want to see if it gives me a shot coming down to this buy side imbalance first. It's about 4. I'll put my stop loss below. It has to be below this here. I have roughly that amount left. So we'll see if this rejects off of this candle. That might be a different story there, but Asia's low being taken and this shift in state of delivery, I'm led to believe that we're gonna head higher from here. Claudia, hi. Lions Fits, 5-minute time frame. Kirk Townsend, hey Johnny, what's going on, man? What's going on, Kurt? Oh, looks like it just went to that volume imbalance again. The problem with this is that now we're above the equilibrium point. So I'm gonna, this one's tough to say because we're right in the middle. It was easier when we had the Asia session. Taking this might be a little bit much. And even this might be wrong as well, but it's really tough to take trades in the middle here. So let me take this off for the time being. I think 4,500, that's small respectable move there. Nivaz SRA, hey, just curious, how is this a market structure shift? I mean, couldn't it just be a retracement to head lower? On the lower time frames, yeah, it definitely could be, but the problem is it's not respecting this. It's not respecting this at all here. So in the early days of London and Asia, I would need to see how this 15-minute candle, if it respects this displacement lower, because we've already taken out sell side liquidity here. This is already a very prominent, if you take a look at the range from, let's say, this low to this high, we can see that we've already traded down into this optimal trade entry with a bias that we are bullish overall. So yes, it could be a retrace to head lower. That's a very possible thing. It's really hard to tell on Monday, right? So what we are also seeing is that we do see that our new week opening gap leaves us movements potential to head lower, right? So right now, sell side got taken. So I'm more inclined to think that buy side needs to be tagged or traded to first before we head lower. Just from the nature of sell side being taken, buy side being targeted next. Because if you think about it, this whole consolidation was an original consolidation from a really small market maker sell model. Very, very janky, but it's there. So once we took out that original consolidation, what do we see? We see a short-term high, displacement above those, return to that breaker, and then it just continued higher from there. Now, on the 15-minute chart, it is respecting this buy-side imbalance. So this would be a bearish order block, essentially. If our bias was bearish, then we would treat this as a spot that we could look for displacement again. We see that buy side liquidity got taken here, sell side liquidity got taken there, buy side got then taken, sell side then got taken. Now what's left? We have relative equal highs up here. We have relative equal highs up here. That's the next area of premium array liquidity. What else is above this? We have this outstanding fair value gap area. We have no internal range liquidity here. We have not passed all the way up through this candle yet, but I do think that we'll end up targeting this today at some point. Taking Asia's low already. As long as we don't make another higher high here, if we make a lower high here, I think that there's room for us to head lower for sure. So like if this candle makes a lower high and then we just drop, I think that there's impetus for us to head lower. But I'll take this, I'll take this profit any day. It's a good, nice little move there. Right now, I do still think that we have movement to go lower, but on the micro time frame, you see that slight shift in market structure there. That's on the really small time frame though. Typically when I see that, I'm looking at liquidity being taken up to next. So what do we have here? We have a volume imbalance here that we're working within. We have a first stage of accumulation here. So market maker buy model, right? Has formed. Original consolidation, reaccumulation, or sorry, first stage distribution. Second stage returns back to that stage of distribution. Terminus, smart money reversal. First stage accumulation. And then second stage might be around here. And then terminus would be above that high, right? These highs. So I see this turning into a market maker buy model for now. Mostly because we took out this Asia low, but I mean, looks like we failed there. So remember what I said, if we saw a short-term high form here and a low, then I think we can possibly have some room lower, but we just reached a bullish breaker there as well. So nice sell-off from there. Now, does it hold here? I'm wondering if it holds here or if it continues to dip lower. It looks like it wants to go lower, but it's also currently being bought up here. So let's see what happens here. But that kind of a retracement from 57 up to 68, that would have blown the account right there if I didn't take profit. So you have to be really careful when you're max cons. It becomes really difficult. Okay. So on the 15 minutes, we still see price heading lower. We'll have to determine and see if this ends up going back lower or not. I mean, we've risen quite a bit during Asia. And I definitely see room to head lower. But first stage. So it's not respecting that breaker here. It's closed below the midpoint of it, so I think we head lower. Maybe we come up into that 1 minute fair value gap that formed here. Keep in mind, it did take multiple sell side liquidity here. So there's sell side that was queued up here, here as well. So far, so good. We're going to see if this continues higher or if it just drops out from here. It does not look like buy side is being respected at all with that movement lower, though. I will say that. It does look quite heavy with that kind of displacement. But I am keeping in mind that we did just take out a sell side liquidity. That's always in the back of my head, right? So what we want to see here, if this is truly a, so what you see now is you see short-term high traded higher. So higher highs, higher lows as well. So I'm seeing, we're starting to see the sells slow down a bit. So I wouldn't be surprised if this turns into a shift in market. If it's a truly shift in market structure, return back to a imbalance formed, low, high, lower, low, higher, high, traded back to this breaker, closed within the breaker itself, right? And if we see this continue heading higher, to target these relative equal highs next. That's what I would expect, at least, if it's going to head higher from here. Obviously, you can see a lot of people still selling off into this area here. So it's very possible that this just drops off, and this can be treated as a propulsion block from that point onwards. If it reverses here, we'll know that we have a bit more buy side to be taken first. But if it doesn't reverse here, then it's going to stay heavy and keep on rolling well past these wicks here. So the thing is, we're not seeing closes below the midpoints of these wicks. So I'm noticing that quite well, right? So we need to see if we have below these wicks here. Oops. I want to keep note as to where these close. Do they close below the midpoint of this wick here? Or do we just trade to the midpoint here and head higher, right? So we're waiting and watching that out. There's also this wick down to this wick, or this tail high to tail low. We traded below the 50% mark, but we bounced up. So on this one, we traded just below the 50% mark and we bounced up again, right? So I am under the impression that we will be heading higher to take out this area of liquidity, this one, relative equal highs, and eventually that one up there as well. But we'll see. It might just drop out here too. Sell side seems to be quite strong. So in this case, multiple failures to make higher highs there. We only had the one change here and then an instant sell off there. So I think this is likely to head lower. If there's not any support here, if we make a lower low here, then chances are we're not going to be heading higher here, and that failure will lead to price heading much lower. Okay. So typically you're not seeing candles like this stop below. You can see those constant sell-offs there, right? Back to Asia low. If it doesn't create a further low, then we'll probably end up bouncing. If it continues to consolidate around this area, which is a high, I mean, look at this. This is not something you want to be trading in, right? This whole range here, high resistance liquidity that we see. Very difficult to trade in. Would not recommend it for new folks trying out evaluations, right? So we've now closed well below that. Sell side got taken once again. And we'll see if it heads lower from here. Volume imbalance traded back down to that as well. We can then target this low down here. If it does end up heading out there. Very slow price action here. Oops. So I got one of my other accounts got bonked there. Because this is really hard to read here. I'll be perfectly honest. This is not the ideal time to be trading. I don't see anything high probability here. Because look at that. It just, once it takes sell side, it just rips up again. And then as if it's going to go. And then let's see if it sells off here as an inversion breaker here. I mean, so far, look at the way that these are being bought up here. Three drives lower. There's definitely liquidity waiting for us down below. That's for sure. Okay, let's see. Okay. All right, so we are starting to see price head higher. So everyone that went long too early, they spiked it down once more to capture those losses. And we'll see if they are ready to head higher or if they are going to drop this again. There's nothing high probability in here. I mean, yes, you could have gone with, hey, there's a shift in market structure. We see displacement on the 15-minute chart. We're likely to head lower, but these wicks are absolutely brutal. There's nothing here that I see as very high probability. And when that happens, you're best to stay on the sidelines. There's going to be some mornings where London is incredibly easy to trade, but we have to wait for them. They're likely not going to be Monday, right? Let me see what else is here. Have we seen a 15-minute shift in structure yet? Not really, but it's close. We'll see how this 15-minute candles and then see if this next one rises above this here, because then you now have a lower low and a higher high, but you don't have a higher low yet. So we'll see how, if this 15-minute candle can close lower, then we'll see how things pan out. But that is quite a structure on the 1 minute time frame, that's for sure. Now keep in mind, this looked the same here. This looked like displacement above, and then it just went down and took out sell side again, right? So if this fails to head any higher, then it is entirely possible that it will just sell off, just like it did before. Okay, so we're assuming it's going to continue to sell off. Those wicks from the Asia session low don't give me entirely good confidence that it's going to sell off by any means. You never want to see these kind of wicks here when you're expecting price to head lower, right? Can they happen? Yes, you see them over here, right? You see those. Those get ripped through later on in the day. So you can absolutely have them here. What I find interesting, though, is that if I look here, we see that these wicks did not stop we see that these wicks here on the 15-minute, they stopped at the halfway point, headed higher, kept on stopping at that halfway point, dropped a little lower, changed lower, and then dipped all the way back down at the end of, in the middle of the day. So in this case, we see these continue to go higher and higher and higher, right? So we're seeing quite a different move here. And I'm wondering if we do end up running for the relative equal highs, at least Asia sessions highs. I'd be interested in that. That's about it, though. It can keep dropping too. I mean, look at that candle. That's a lot of people, a lot of institutions coming in and buying it back up, right? So we created a lower low. We are in the process of trading back up to this high, but we failed. Every single time we failed to make a new high. So keep that in mind as you continue trading today. I think 4,500 haul, that's about almost a third of the way to passing that 250K account. I think that's reasonable. I think that's a solid haul. Cool. Let me see if there's anything in the chat that I missed. Bit slow. Good to trade Asia, London. Not that volatility. Not that volatility in New York session. I actually like the volatility. I like the volatility in the New York session. I think that it leads to passing evaluation accounts much faster, and it leads to smaller leverage, making more money quicker as well. So we created another lower low there. It's having a tough time, or sorry, higher high, not lower low. Let me see what ES and the Dow are doing. ES has dropped below into a fair value gap and is being bought up right now. Nothing too crazy there. The Dow is the same exact story. Dropped down into a premium buy side imbalance, is being bought up still. ES's buy side imbalance is closer to the midpoint, and NASDAQ has not dropped down into that imbalance yet. So I don't know, very hard to say. I think that we do head for at least this area of liquidity. This is too smooth here. And of course, I would like us to take out Asia session high. I think that we'll end up reversing up to that high. But we'll see. The reason why is that I see the Dow has taken that out already and is starting to begin its trek lower. So I would like to see a buy side taken before displacing lower. This is CPI week too, so we'll have to see what happens here, but so far it's not really doing anything as we near the end of London kill zone. Okay. Yeah, this is not the best of price action on a Monday. Very low movement as we near the end of this hour here. Let's see where the 350 to 410 macro runs. See if we head down to take out liquidity or head up to take liquidity first. It'd be interesting if we take out any additional liquidity up here. We'd rise up, take that out first before heading lower. I'd be interested in that. These wicks are indicating that people are buying though, so we have to be careful with the fact that we've taken out sell side liquidity. Buy side liquidity is still waiting there to be taken from Asia's high. For those reasons why I'm treating these as suspect sell sides. Obviously I could be wrong. There's a huge 15-minute fair value gap up here. We're still in quite a premium from this low to this high, so we could reach all the way down to that imbalance as well. So we would need to see displacement though, so watching here to see if we see displacement. From a weekly perspective, if we take a look at this day, blow this up a little bit so you can see, we see the last few days we've traded up past an all-time high, created an all-time high, traded lower, but are also continuing to trade higher here. So I'm almost, and this move from here to here was a 50% retracement as well. So that move there, I see that as we've already traded down into this buy side imbalance, picked up some more orders here, right? And if we look at the daily chart as a whole, so this is the daily chart as a whole, We're well above that previous all-time high that was over here. We've traded to below this and completely blown that out as well. So my thoughts are that we see that there's a lot of buy-side imbalances left open here. Breakaway gap, traded down to, did not fill. Traded down to, left one entirely open here, traded down to half, did not fill. So for that reason, I am keen to see price continue higher in the short term here. I'd like to see a displacement higher first, if possible. And yeah, I mean, we'll see. We'll see what kind of price action develops here, because we can see on the daily chart that clearly we have previous days close. We've traded down to that new week opening gap. Now we've traded higher. So what could we reach for? I think we can reach for the previous day's high and maybe this rejection block up here. I'm watching that weekly wick though. If we close below that weekly wick, then we might reverse down to take out this dynamic buy side imbalance, sell side inefficiency. I'm just curious though. I mean, if you see this on a 15 minute, right? So you see these kind of wicks on the 15 minute, right? And you see on the 5 minute that we're starting to breach above this short-term high here. Technically we breached above that short-term high there, but we were still on a premium. We've now taken out sell side liquidity, and we've traded above this short-term high on the 5 minute chart. So I'm thinking that we are at least going to run for I mean, these relative equal highs look kind of suspect here. This intermediate term high looks a little bit suspect. I would say I'd like to at least see us trade up to Asia session high, if we're going to make it up there. If we're going to reverse, that's what I would be targeting. So we have to make it above this high here. I guess it's easier to see on a 15 minute or 5 minute chart, but we have to make it above this high here. Yes, we did make it above this high, but we want to see it come above this high first, because then that means we have broken a 15-minute high. So that would lead to a true shift, change in state of delivery, where I can then take this high, low, high, lower, low. I can treat this 5 minute segment here as a 5 minute bullish breaker. Now, did this 1 minute breaker fail? Yes, it did, right? We saw low, high, lower, low. That took out Asia low. A springboard higher, a stop out of early longs, myself included. And we are seeing us return back up into this area here. Now, look at this. We have this low, high, lower, low. So this candle here, let me get rid of the 5 minute one for a second. This candle here can also serve as a potential bullish breaker. So what we're doing is we're watching to see, does this low, high, lower, low, higher, high, do we respect this breaker and trade above this intermediate term high up here? If we don't, then we might end up just shitting the bed and, you know, losing out on everything there. But if we do, then we have the opportunity to trade even higher. So we are nearing the end of London kill zone. I had a lot of fun trading this, though. It was fun to trade London again, and I think that 4,500 is pretty solid haul for London session, and not having traded London session for a long time. So I'm gonna end up, I don't know, we'll see. If there's a run up higher, great. If not, then so be it. It's kind of just dull here. As it gets closer and closer to 5 o'clock, I might just go eat some food and then go back to sleep, honestly, because I still have a full day of work ahead of me. Who else is in the chats working today? Is there anyone else working today? I know LP, you just got back from delivering pizzas a while back, so anyone else working? I don't see any new questions in the chat, so I hope this is valuable. I mean, if this is valuable, drop a like. I appreciate it. Helps the channel out. So if we close below this breaker, this is invalidated, and we're likely to head lower. So we closed at the breaker. That is interesting to me. Kirk not working. Nice, nice. All right, so this is trading lower down into this area here. We might see we did not make a significant displacement higher. We do have some imbalances here that I'll be watching closely. This volume imbalance being one of them, of course. So it looks like those buyers aren't able to prop up the market after all. Let me get rid of this one here. It's no longer necessary. That was a rejection of the bearish order block, so that's not necessary anymore either. Sell side is being tagged again. We have lower sell sides to look for, so we don't need that anymore. And then we do need a new one down here. That's a new sell side. So what happened there? Spiked down again, but did not create a lower low. I find that to be interesting. So we now have a low, high, lower low, but it has not created a higher high above this yet. So we need to see, does this give us that movement higher than this short-term high up here? That's what we're really looking for. If we do, then we have the structure there then to run for relative equal highs, high up here as well, outstanding liquidity up here as well. And we're within the macro bullish. We're trading with the macro bullish structure as well. So something worth thinking about there. So let's see how we trade at this juncture here. We want to keep an eye on this particular buy side liquidity here, because if we trade above that, if you can trade above that relative equal high here, that's going to be key. That is a singular high on the 15-minute chart, and we can treat that as a, hopefully we can treat that as a shifted market structure there. We did color outside the lines of this breaker a bit, but we did not. We had wicks do damage and go down to outstanding liquidity, but we did not close and have a lower low. We now have a higher high and a higher low as well. So we'll see if we get above this, then we'll have a higher high on the 15-minute chart. Let's see. Kirk, love it. Claudia, what time zone are you, Johnny? I'm Eastern time zone, Claudia. What about you? Where are you trading from? I am an inner circle trader, after all. I trade using inner circle trader concepts. And wow, look at that run. Okay, good. So that's exactly what we're looking for. So this is in my mind, this is a true shift in market structure now. We can more safely assume that we have finally taken out Asia session lows. Sell side got taken here once. They moved it up. They sold off and got those early longs out. And then they have one more rundown in order to keep things going higher. So I think that we might travel down back to this volume imbalance, maybe this buy side imbalance, but for sure this volume imbalance is probably going to be traded to, because there's also a bullish breaker at that level. So I think we'll trade down to that volume imbalance potentially and head higher, unless we see institutional order flow entry drill here and we see it run for Asia's highs. So we'll see. I think a run for Asia's highs would be a very sound profit-taking area if you're long. I think that there's definitely move higher here. And I don't know why they would not take the relative equal highs here, but I do believe that we're going to trade up to, and I have another evaluation account that I started trading but took some losses on. I'm going to see if this continues higher up to that area. If it reaches, if it reaches these relative equal highs, then I'll take profit. But this does signify to me that they're now willing, after taking sell side, they're now willing to target buy side liquidity. And what's resting up here? Relative equal highs. Single Short-term high. That's what this tells me. But again, this is a balanced price range. So if we crater from here, that's also a possibility, right? This is the toughest part about trading in this kind of environment. Very difficult. Oh, Asia, Bangkok. Okay. How is Bangkok? Do you enjoy living there? Or are you an expat? Are you born and raised in Bangkok? Or that's kind of cool. I've never met anybody from Bangkok. There is a buy side imbalance down here though that I'm watching. I'd prefer to leave this open. I'd prefer to leave this buy side imbalance open, maybe trade down to only the volume imbalance, maybe. I'd prefer that. If it doesn't trade down to that, I'd be okay with that too. But we want to see quick motion higher. We want to see big green candles rushing on their way up to this area of liquidity next. If it doesn't get there, maybe we rush towards this, but we'll see. I'm from Europe. Yeah, I was about to say that last name didn't seem like a Bangkok, Thai last name. All right, so where are our next areas of liquidity? Next one rises up to here. That's our next area of liquidity that we'll be shooting for, in my opinion. Draw this out over time as well. 15-minute sell side imbalance has not been rebalanced yet, so I would assume that we trade at least up to this sell side imbalance, short-term high. Potentially, third option, we reject the midpoint of this and head lower, but I don't see why we would do that if we're not inherently bearish. If we're still bullish, I imagine that we'll trade a little bit higher first, take out these buy side liquidities, these relative equal highs up here, and sell off from there. But price is having trouble at this point, so we're watching this closely. What time is it? 4:10. So it's not much more time for this to run. So I want to see this quickly spike up, or otherwise it could retrace back down to this area here. And that would also potentially be more than just a retracement too, if we start to see displacement lower. But okay, so we came down into a bullish order block, buy side imbalance within that order block, traveling down to this volume imbalance, traveling back to this bullish breaker. We'll see if this holds or not. Doesn't seem like it. All right, so we traded down to that volume imbalance and are currently holding above that volume imbalance there, so that's good. We did reject from the midpoint of this here, though. I am noticing that. This midpoint there, we rejected from that level. So I don't think the bulls are in control, but as I would have expected us to close above that if we were bullish. I mean, this serves as a rejection, as a, sorry, balanced price range. So it would make sense for us to immediately rebalance off of that. But you see these wicks here, right? Price is being bought up, bought up, bought up as well. So we'll need fairly large force for us to continue taking us downward. Even though it does look like it's happening, this is really only a 50% retracement here. So this would be a 60%, roughly 70% down here, and then the terminus down here. It looks like it's going to be pretty tough for me to pass these 250Ks. So if I don't pass them today or tomorrow, I'm going to pretty much cancel all of them and buy some 50Ks instead. Maybe 150Ks. I don't know. We'll see. Or might not buy any. I don't know. We'll see. I have plenty of performance accounts already that take time. So I just do wish that London traded a little bit cleaner, though. Like, Friday's London session would have been nice and clean. That was a beautiful, beautiful 30-handle run on the London session the other day. I mean, look at the difference between these London sessions. London session over here, you can kind of see that Thursday reversal, buy side liquidity gets taken to take a short here, goes down from this high down to this low is about 30 handles plus, 67 down to 17. That's 50 handles, so plenty of room there. I wish there was the same on this London session, but it doesn't look like it's going to give that to us after all. So a new candle just formed. We did trade down to that bullish breaker. And we left this I like to see this remain open. If we can. I don't know if we will, but if we can, I'd like to see that remain open. Kirk, don't you have until the end of the month to get the $80 lifetime on the 250 evals? Oh, yeah, you know what? That's a really good point. The problem with that, Kirk, though, is that after Tuesday, I'm traveling in Asia for the rest of the month. So I'm not going to be able to trade when I'm in Asia. So it's as good as Tuesday being the last day I'm allowed to pass these, right? So for those of you that can travel in Asia can trade during the latter part of the month, that's going to be really nice to be able to trade and take that time. So take your time on that, Kirk, if you can. But for me, I'll probably just full port it. I have like maybe 1, 2, 3, 4. How many evaluations do I have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 250K accounts that I bought. So, if I see a play, then I'll take it one at a time. And if they all blow, they all blow. And I don't get any more, and I just focus on performance accounts after June comes along. I have plenty of accounts already. There's no more need for this, but those 250K accounts and the $85 activation fee, I succeeded in passing one of those, and it's just incredible to pay an $85 lifetime fee for a 50K accounts fee for a 250K. All right, so we're seeing some movement higher now, right? Get rid of this. Let me get rid of these projections as well. Notice how I was hoping for us to take out the high, and we had a failure swing, and I was thinking maybe we end up heading lower. On the 15-minute chart, we didn't have those projections as much, but on the 1-minute chart, you can kind of see what those projections were if we were to have seen a breaker move at this high from here to here, from here to here as well. So those would have been really nice moves. We ended up getting a failure swing instead, but we did end up also getting the same structure that we wanted. So we got a high, low, higher, high, displacement lower. We entered on the breaker low, and we got this move to down here eventually. Now we had to sell out here because otherwise it would have been really difficult for us to hold through all that. Actually, no, we didn't. We actually barely held on through all of this, and we weren't able to add because we're at max contracts already. But we did end up getting this move down from here to Asia low, and that was a nice move, 10 handle move. And so in London, it seems like we'll get those kinds of moves. So I think every 10 handles, I'll treat it as, time to take profit. We are having quite a lot of difficulty at this consequent encroachment of this balanced price range, though. Note that. It's having quite a lot of difficulty here. So if it can't continue, then we might be in for some dropping. I hope we don't see this drop, but what can we do? All right, so we traded back down into that volume imbalance there. Back to that bullish breaker as well. So far, it's holding. Get rid of these projections because they're no longer relevant. So we're seeing relative equal highs get engineered up here as well. This happens to be the midpoint of this balanced price range, so I wouldn't be surprised if this just shit the bed now. If this gets traded to, I would be closing any long positions that you're in. Just because it gets really dangerous as it gets closer and closer to there. A lot of people are going to see this as a topping formation I don't see that as it right now. I see that we're in a market maker buy model. Well, very serrated, of course, but I do think that we're still going to head higher based on what I see here so far. Relative equal highs, relative equal highs. What else? Relative equal highs, right? So I still see Asia sessions high being taken. I see that being the target. Maybe and then some. I don't know. We'll see. What would be the projection on that? Oh, at least 18,690. Is what I would look at next. I like that in between level though. I think that's a good projection, but we'll see if it goes that high. It's having a largely difficult time breaching this midway point here, so what's going to end up happening is if we see this break higher from here, we would need to see a candle close above this level here. Otherwise, we're going to drop off. If it can't support this balanced price range, if it can't support price above that, and it keeps on selling off, then we're probably in for like a drop down into this 50% mark of this 15-minute buy side imbalance down here before we head higher. Oh man, I am getting hungry and tired at the same time. It's not a good combination. So London moves a little slower today than it did in previous days. We're not getting our really nice big ranges, 78 to 58-ish. So about 20 handles of range. Nothing like the previous London range right here where we had a range of 74 to 16, or basically 14. So 60 handle range. So not the most amazing, but in these times, 10 handles is reasonable. You can easily get 10 handles. I've shown you that today. You can find 10 handles, 15 handles at a time. Yeah. Nothing else going on here. How are you guys going? Are anybody else trading right now? You guys just watching? I have a long on a different account that's in drawdown, but that's, you know, I was an account that I thought was going to blow and has now clawed back about $3,000. So we'll see. I'm gonna probably end the stream as we get closer to 5 o'clock because I need to get some rest before I go to work. So, but I did say 1 to 5, so we're gonna see if we can get our buy side targets now. I'm glad we saw this gap remain open. So I really want to see us close above this consequent encroachment here. From this low to this high. I want to see us close above that. Not just continuing to sell off from there, because if it can't breach above this, then it's going to be in for some sell off, right? There should be a Monday high of week potentially. I don't think that's going to be the case with CPI on Wednesday, but I do think that this is going to get traded too at some point. So we're seeing some failure from that. Nothing here looks high probability. I wouldn't take anything here. Nothing in here is super high probability. It's actually really, really ugly. So I would prefer waiting for price to travel back down, maybe into these quadrants. I have a feeling that we're going to end up stair-stepping down in that direction. And then CPI, maybe we leave all these buy sides for CPI to tackle. But the overarching thesis for today was, hey, we see Asia's low, we see Asia's high. We saw that Asia's high took out a prior session, London sessions, closed sessions high. So we were looking for a short there. We did end up getting a little bit of move lower into this area right before we woke up and came online. So what we were looking for is price to take this buy side liquidity out before aiming for Asia session lows. So I had missed the fact that we had a swing. We had talked about this earlier, where this was going to be possibly a failure swing. And so if that was the case, we have this high, this low, this lower high, and then we would look for displacement below that. And we saw a bearish breaker here, a high, low, higher high, displacement lower. So we assumed we could get price up to here at least. Price ended up coming up to tackle the 15-minute buy side, 15-minute sell side imbalance that we saw here, right? Our bearish breaker was enough. That was a good solid 10-point move. That's plenty for plenty to make some money on. So I don't like the way price action is happening right now. I also don't want to sit through this either because I'm tired and I need food. So I think I don't see any questions here either. So I honestly think I might close it here and just go about the day. So hopefully this was helpful. Hopefully this was fun. Getting to see me talk through some of the moves that we saw here. So this was the core move that we took today. You saw it live. This is a demo account, but still you saw that live. You saw how we saw that we should have taken profit at Asia session. We ended up taking it a little bit higher. We lost about 5 handles of profit there. So that's totally okay. We did not get stopped out on this huge run from 57 to 68, 69. We would have gotten stopped out there out of our entire position because we're full porting, but it would have calmed down and given us some more exits. Now, trading normally, I would have had 5 handles of 10 contracts off here. We would have had this retrace. I would have added on. We would have taken more off at this low, and then the rest of it off at Asia low. in the future, I will look for 10 handle runs during London session. And I think that's it. I mean, 10 handle runs were pretty common here. So it did seem like we had reversals every 10 or so handles. So that was a unique to this morning, Monday, following a big range week. So I think that with CPI, you should be done trading by 8 a.m., 9:30, 9 a.m., maybe 8:30, 9 o'clock maximum on CPI day. Or actually, no, not on the day before CPI. Sorry. The morning of CPI, you should be done by 7 o'clock. I mean, there's nothing that's going to happen by 7 to 8:30 CPI, right? So watch out for CPI. Oh, wait. Sorry. I was looking at British CPI. So for Britain, Wednesday morning at 2 a.m., this is going to be a really good one. I can't be there. I'm going to be on a flight later that morning. But for those of you who are trading London Open, Wednesday is going to be a really nice day for that. So yeah. So you're going to have a speaker at 5 a.m. though. So we might see some volatility at 5 in the morning. So if you're able to stay on and trade the end of the session, I'm just getting too tired right now, and I need to get some sleep, get some water, get some food, so that I can actually get to work and have a good day without having a headache the whole time. So I'm gonna go ahead and close the stream for now. Cigar Cutter, thanks, mate. Hey, no, thanks. It was good to have you here. I hope this was helpful. If it was, drop a like on the channel. Drop me a comment on how crappy I was or how good I was. But I hope this kind of helps, this tape reading and live execution helps people see what kind of setups can form. So that's it. This is a mess. Very difficult trading conditions here. All these wicks, very brutal, right? Very, very, very brutal. Very large range wicks. We ended up coming back down to this gap, so I'm guessing we end up heading lower from here. Okay, well, that's it for today. Thank you very much, everybody, for coming in for this London session. I'm happy to have gotten to trade with you, and grateful to be able to trade with all of you here. Hopefully you all find some good trades today, and we will catch up soon. I will be here tomorrow morning as well. So see ya soon, and have a great rest of the trading day, okay? Take care. See ya.